independent in thought, and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Chicago First Assistant State's Attorney Joe Magott says they believe Jessie Smollett did what he was charged with, and they stand behind the investigation and the facts revealed. But
our number one priority is combating violent crime and the drivers of violence.
You sound nervous.
And we look to use our resources to do that.
Are you nervous?
And I don't think that Mr. Smollett is a driver of violence.
You sound nervous.
And nor was he someone who's a violent criminal.
All of the documents in the case have been sealed.
Smollett is freed. Faced 48 years in the Hooskow and will not be going to jail. He was never going to go to jail, nor should he have gone to jail. But the way that they, and I can't say it as good as this guy, the way that they...
This is a whitewash of justice.
Did that, and that right there is Mayor Rahm Emanuel, who is no fan of, like, being tough on crime. But the reality is Chief Williams took over in Chicago. He wanted to get to the point where they really came down in specific areas. Chicago, for all the stuff we hear, right? Chicago's dangerous. It's an area that's dangerous, one of the safest cities in the world to go to. It's a beautiful city. Chicago's gorgeous, right? It's one of the safest places to be, minus the certain amount of areas. He has really tried to combat that. But they felt like they were thrown under the bus because out of nowhere. Because remember, when this whole thing happened with Jessie Smollett it's racism, it's MAGA, it's red hat wearing, there's a noose, all of this stuff. Letters were sent to him at work on Empire, and it started to crumble really fast. But then he was just like, no, it's all a bunch of baloney. And next thing you know, he's charged, and he's got, he wrote a check to these guys and said, yeah, look, it was all orchestrated. And now, out of nowhere, boom, 16 counts gone. Case is sealed. And now what? Do I think he should have gone to jail? No. But I was talking to a police officer today, and he's like, look, here's the big issue in this is if you are the police and you've seen your prosecutor, Kim Foxx, essentially starstruck potentially, basically throw away what you've done after you have been kicked in front of the media, after you've been dragged through the mud in front of the media, after you were forced to pull valuable man hours and manpower, person power, officer power off other cases because this was in the spotlight of somebody potentially running around your city doing horrible things, all in the name of MAGA country. And now that drives a wedge. Drives a huge, huge, huge wedge. He got away. He got away from it. And the funny thing is, they're even calling it. They're even calling it, saying, yeah, we believe he did it. Yeah, we did. We believe that he did it. There's an agreement and, he'll do some stuff and he's got to forfeit his bond and blah, 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 blah. It's just not. It's not. I don't think he should have gone to jail. Don't think that I think he should have gone to jail, because I don't think he should have. Unless, and I was talking to producer Anthony earlier today, the only way he should have gone to jail is if at some point in time there would have been two guys who were innocent who were caught and they ended up going all the way through and they ended up paying a price for it. If this thing fell apart him at that point in time, then yes, he had at that point in time, yeah, you go after somebody. If you're willing to do that, somebody's freedom. Now we've got to figure out, who do we hire to find these perpetrators of these crimes? Oh, goodness me. It's crazy. What a couple crazy days. Really it is. People must sit around there. We must be the Florida of the world. Chad, that's not very nice. Oh, speaking of not very nice, I don't know if you guys heard Carl Bernstein, who is not one of the Bernstein Bears, although he is short enough to be a teddy bear. He was... Producer Anthony and him had a go-around at the convention a couple years ago. And, I think Woodward was the mastermind in all of the whole thing with Woodward Bernstein and all of that stuff. But it was so funny listening today talk about the media coverage. I still think, and from what I hear, Trump is his eye of anger right now is more on the media than it is other politicians. Not that may not get there, But when you listen to them today, especially CNN, right? Like Morning Joe's one thing. I don't get into the Maddow thing. I really don't care. I think Rachel does, she tries to come with facts and I don't watch any of the other shows. Morning Joe is what it is. But CNN is hair on fire. But listening to them today, just discuss this. It's just insane.
The big question is, what is news? This investigation and the conduct and behavior of this president is the biggest story we have had in many years, because his behavior and conduct is anomalous. It's different than any other president in our history. He says and does things, including the lying, that no other president has done.
All right, so he says and does things no other president has done. I will say that's true. That's true right there, right? But you, as the media right now, are doing things that you're no longer, you pass it off as journalism, and it's not. And you've become activists, especially CNN. They lost the plot a long time ago. But in these last 2 years, these last 22 plus months, just of the investigation, not counting all the stuff before that, the way that you've acted, the things that you've said and done, and the way that you've hoped, wished, and prayed that there was something there, and you got it just not wrong. You got it so wrong. And then he was asked, and this is hilarious, asked about just the reporting.
There has been such fabulous reporting by especially the New York Times, the Washington Post, the Wall Street Journal. In cable, there has been some great reporting.
Are we watching the same thing? First of all, it's not reporting. That's not reporting. That's not reporting. What you guys are doing is not report. I don't look at, when I watch football on Sundays, right? Or when I watch soccer, when I watch the EPL, and I watch, whoever it is, right? That's giving their analysis before the games kick off. It's analysis, it's guesstimation. They're not journalists. They're analyst, play-by-play, entertainment kind of people. They realize that. You pass yourself off as journalist, right? So then you got James Clapper, right? One of our heads of our intelligence, former head of like super high intelligence, super sneaky high. Here's what he was asked yesterday by Anderson Cooper, who I still thinks at times looks like a European vampire.
In terms of, things you have said on television subsequently, just over, I don't know, however long you've been talking on television, do you regret anything you have said in terms of raising questions about the president's behavior or some of the things the president has done or said?
No, I don't. And I have put that in writing in my book as well.
Yeah.
I have concerns, and as do others, and I have tried to be factual and temperate and moderate about it, but I do have concerns, and no, I don't have any regrets.
What? No, of course. Why would you? This is the whole thing. The narrative is it's all changed now. And we're really good at what we did. We were really good. And I think there is a good portion of them that believes, because of the way that they're doing what they're doing, that in some way, shape, or form, they're doing us citizens some sort of service and protecting us. Because if it wasn't for them, that he would so run amok, because we are knuckle draggers and aren't bright enough to see that for ourselves. So they have to do what they do, because otherwise we're screwed.
And do you still have the same concerns about, the president, his relationship with Vladimir Putin, his tendency to side with Vladimir Putin against, former intelligence officials or even his current intelligence officials?
I do have concerns about the president's unwillingness or inability or whatever to call out the Russian interference in the election. And I would just point out that one of President Obama's objectives in tasking us to do that report on the Russian interference was to hand it off to the next administration. So the Trump administration would have that as a basis for taking action against Russia, which sort of hasn't happened in some ways.
First, let's you guys knew what was going on, and everybody pointed that out, and you still just kind of, right? Because you always thought, well, she's going to win the race, and it's not going to be a big deal, so whatever. It is what it is. You didn't do a great job of it. I still don't know what we're doing about it, and something that needs to really be addressed. Take away the partisan politics of it all. What's going on, how Russia's going about their business, what are they doing, and how are we protecting ourselves is vitally important, right? And the thought process I've heard over and over again of the way that, well, you know, Trump, and they, you know, he wants to be in the room alone, and he wants to talk with Putin and this, that, and the other. But you go and look at what Trump has done when it comes to Russia, like selling really bad weapons to the likes of Ukraine, trying to get Merkel and a lot of Europe off natural gas, which is a huge driver of their economy, the Russians, doing things right in the face that the last guy didn't do. That's much tougher than the last guy. And we remember what the last guy said, right? Hey, get this to Vlad. You just tell him when I get reelected, I got a lot more, you know, stuff I can do. So you tell that to him, right? You tell that to him. Well, it's not a big deal, Chad. Of course it isn't. If it's your side versus the other side. The reality is we didn't learn anything new from any of this stuff that we didn't already think. The thing that has backfired, I think, the most out of all of this, now that the dust is settling, is the media did a horrible job. And I'm not talking about honest, good journalists out there who look at all sides and say, I want to do the best I can by giving you the who, what, when, how, and why. I want to present you with the facts. And I'm going to look at the facts from all sides, not just what's presented to me in my ideology and thought. There are still some of those out there, Matt Taibbi and a few other ones, who aren't fans of the president, but really have called out the media and their failure in so many ways over the last 2+ years. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Guys, we're terrible doing a lot of things, including taking care of ourselves. Trust me, I know. Man, I don't know how many times, I've tried, like, played sports and I'd hurt my knee and I'm fine. I'll walk it off. I'll be good. Right. And it happens all the time. And in many cases, especially things like ED, erectile dysfunction. Let me tell you something. 70% of us, we're never going to go see a doctor. We're like, nope, not going to do it. Not going to do it. Why? It's embarrassing. For whatever reason, we'll just chalk it off as, I'll be fine. Don't worry about me. There's a better way to do things now, thanks to Roman. They've created an easy way to get checked out by a doctor, treated online, comfort of your own home. No embarrassing conversations, no waiting room, none of that stuff. It's simple and easy. And yes, you're going to see a licensed U.S. physician right there. You go online, simple and easy. Go to GetRoman.com/Benson. You fill out a brief medical onboarding. You chat with a doctor. Get FDA-approved meds delivered to your door in discreet, unmarked packaging. There's no pharmacy, no awkward face-to-face, none of that other stuff. So simple and easy. It is the future, and the future is here right now. Get yourself checked out for free. It's on me. Go to GetRoman.com/Benson. That's GetRoman.com/Benson. GetRoman.com/Benson. It is so easy to do. Take care of it. GetRoman.com/Benson. At Chad Benson Show, Twitter, ChadBenson. Chad Benson Show.
Deep states? No. Deep doo-doo? Yeah. The Chad Benson Show.
Not to shut down your economy, throw people out of work, make people reconstruct their homes, get out of their cars. You get the whole drift here. This is nonsense.
Mitch McConnell made a vote today on the Green New Deal. He's like, hey, let's take a vote. Let's see who's in this thing. Come on now, you guys you need to be in this, right? Like, everybody's talking about it, and the Democrats like, that's not fair. That's not very nice. And Mitch was like, come on, let's all vote. No, it's not very nice. So how many Democrats voted for it? You ready for this? It's a non-binding resolution. 42 Democrats and Senator Bernie Sanders voted present. Right? 42 voted present. 42. Senator, Democrat Doug Jones, Alabama, Joe Manchin of West Virginia, and Kirsten Sinema of Arizona joined 53 Republicans with a nah. Also, Angus King, independent, who caucuses with the Democrats, voted no. He called them out. He's like, okay, you guys really want to do this? Like, who wants to do this? But he said it in his Mitch way. Who wants to do this? And then Mike Lee on the floor today has He's got his usual, he's got his little pointy stick, and he's got some sort of board behind him with a poster with Ronald Reagan riding a velociraptor. As if that's, you know what? I just think it's funny. And the Democrats are upset about it. They're upset about being called on the carpet over this. You guys wanted it. Everybody seems to have to go to it now and praise it. But when push came to shove, you wanted no part of it. Like to the point where you voted present. Not even knowing it wasn't going to get anywhere, let's vote yes and get behind it. You voted present. What does that say? Feels like that you are afraid of being called out by a lot of people in your constituency who isn't part of craziness.
We know in the first crash, Lion Air, pilots battled that automation right at takeoff for 12 minutes before losing the battle. The Ethiopian jet was in the air for 6 minutes, but officials have not said if the anti-stall system was activated.
Yeah, they say it's about 40-second was the big battle with the Ethiopian. They had 40 seconds to get it right, and they didn't get it right. And it's today, Boeing lost a huge deal in China to Airbus. And then on top of that, one of the MAX planes that's out of service that was flying somewhere to be stored had to make an emergency landing in Orlando. Had nothing to do with any of the software and all to do with an engine, but it landed safely. So Boeing's got issues, and the issues are going to continue. And oddly enough, the 727 had a very checkered beginning as well before it went on to do okay. But this is an issue right now that even when they get it sorted out and fixed, it is going to take a while for not only the public to feel safe, but also when it comes to the stock prices, where does that go? How long is that going to take to rebuild itself up? And could the potential losing more contracts really hurt this thing for years to come? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. And you can tweet at us. I posted something very interesting on the old Twitter page about what Yahoo Finance ranks the 2020 candidates for the Democratic side from socialist, the most socialist, down to the one who has the most capitalistic ideas. Go check it out at Chad Benson Show. It is the Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
What are they saying to people who have pre-existing conditions? Trust us, we'll take care of you. People in Vermont who have, whether it's cancer, diabetes, or anything else, they say, what happens to us?
The Republicans, because they can't stand the word Obama, are determined to kill the Affordable Care Act, which guarantees to Americans you will not be discriminated against because someone in your family has a pre-existing condition.
This move will destroy health care for millions of Americans.
Yeah, what happens with health care? That's a huge issue, right? Like, this is something that we should be talking about. Stuff that matters in this country is the expense of health care. And what are we going to do to actually start getting the prices down and manageable? Look, I was not a fan of Obamacare and what they did, the way they passed it. I thought it was sneaky as hell. But now you've got a situation where they're looking and they're saying, hey, we're going to decide with the lower court here and get rid of the mandate. Eventually, we could kill off Obamacare here. The problem is you guys talked a huge game for years and you've never been able to really do anything about it. Now what is the question I ask Republicans? Now what? Because, yes, I'm not a fan of Obamacare. I will say this, right? I will say this. They made an effort. They made an effort. Didn't like what came out of it, but they made an effort. Is it working for everybody? No. Is it perfect? No. And when you talk about crony capitalism, when you have the insurance company helping you craft a lot of this, that's not a big win either. We've got to figure something out. And this is one of those things that is going to be a big, if you care about where we're headed in the future, right? The sensationalism over the last 48 hours with the Mueller report, the Avenatti, and all of this stuff, and where we're going from here. And if you really, really look at this and you say to yourself, all right, what are we going to do? What are we going to do when it comes to things that matter to the person who doesn't watch Fox, MSNBC, and CNN 24/7? What are we going to do? Because not everything inside Obamacare is bad. The implementation has been awful. It has been cumbersome. It has killed choice. There are things in there, a good portion of, that we need to get rid of. But I heard for all those years how they're going to be a repeal and replace, and when push came to shove, they failed. Now what?
The Republican Party will soon be known as the party of healthcare. You watch.
Okay, I want to watch. What are you going to do? What are you going to do that's going to make you the party of healthcare? What are you going to do? Expanding choice? Fantastic. Giving people the options to maybe choose certain things, right? I don't need an 18-wheeler if I drive a mile to work every day and I work with a microphone and I don't carry anything or go anywhere and I don't have a moving company, right? Do you see what I'm saying? Some of this stuff was ridiculous. Everybody's getting it. Hey, I know you're a woman, but you might get a vasectomy. Hey, I know you're a man, but you're going to get pregnancy coverage. Yeah, I get it, right? You're trying to be all things to all people. But what now? Because the cost is ridiculous. When people are paying more for their health care than their mortgage, and you've got people saying, all right, I can cover the kids, but we're not going to cover ourselves, and we're just going to hope and pray. That is not what we want. Is there a happy medium somewhere? I think there is. And I've touted from jump, if you want to have a public option and a private option, I'm okay with that. Give people the option. The people that are stuck in the public option, you're in there, and you might be fine with it. I don't go to the doctors that much. A little bit comes out of here. I go. There's no real need for it, blah, 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 blah. That's great. But you can't bitch if the people in the private have other things than you because they're paying for it. How do we do this? There's got to be a way. I know there's a way. But can these two, the left and the right, get out of each other's way enough? And I mean politically, social media-wise, get out of a way of all of that noise to do something? That I don't know. And let's not forget the trough that continues to get full that both sides feed at. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Jessie Smollett, 16 counts, felony counts, 48 years in jail he faced. Guess what? All gone. It's been dropped. Every single one has been dropped. They seem to be happy about it, Smollett and the prosecutor, Rahm Emanuel.
Was not just the officer's work. That work, a piece of that work, was shown to a grand jury, and they made a decision based on only a sliver of the evidence.
Only a sliver of the evidence. He's not happy.
This is a whitewash of justice.
Whitewash of justice. Phil and I were like, oh, can he say that? That seems racist. That seems racist. Eddie Johnson, the man who is the head of the police in Chicago, is absolutely pissed off about the way that this thing has gone down.
My job as a police officer is to investigate an incident, gather evidence, gather the facts, and present them to the state's attorney. That's what we did. I stand behind the detective's investigation. Yeah. He is not happy at all. At all. None of them are happy because they feel like, well, wait a minute here. So this guy, right? He causes this big stink and makes it seem like there's somebody running around with a MAGA hat preying on gay people of color in Chicago.
because of who he is in the television show, the spotlight's on them, so they pull people and resources off other cases. They even start to say, well, maybe Chicago police are corrupt and all of these kind of things, and they're already battling stuff like that for years. While all of this is going on, we start to see this thing unravel on Jessie Smollett. They file these charges. There's a check to two guys that he worked with who said, hey, you know what? He paid us to do these things. It was all a bunch of baloney. Now out of everywhere, boom, this thing's done. Out of nowhere, boom, everything's done. Sorry. Hey, you know what? He's been a good servant. He's done some stuff. He was only going to get community service, said the prosecutor, right? And the DA, hey, he's only going to get community service. There wasn't going to be any jail time. He's going to forfeit his bond, and really, it's it's over. It's done with.
This has been an incredibly difficult time. Honestly, one of the worst of my entire life. But I'm a man of faith, and I'm a man that has knowledge of my history, and I would not bring my family, our lives, or the movement through a fire like this. I just wouldn't.
My God. The insanity of this. And he's still saying he's the victim. Rahm Emanuel saying he's using hate and the laws to hide behind the fact that he wanted to further his career. And like that, gone away. I didn't realize he faced that much. I never thought he was going to get time. Right? I never thought he was going to get any time, nor should he have gotten time. I think he should have been forced to do community service and do some PSAs and be out there in the public and stuff like that, and using the moniker of fame that he had to do some stuff. I never thought any of that. I don't think, at some point in time, come on, it's ridiculous. But the reality is to, as Rahm Emanuel said, whitewash this. That is not good, and there's going to be questions asked. There's going to be a ton of questions asked of really what it's a lot of, and you're just letting him walk away, and this is it? Nothing? Not a dang thing? Period? Case closed? End of story?
There is no deferred prosecution. The motion was to nolli pros, which is a legal technical term for dismiss the charges.
Yeah, and the charges are dismissed. Very interesting. Very. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Love hearing from all of you guys out there. Just a crazy few days with all that stuff. And then, of course, you've got the one, the only Avenatti, who I do not think is going to be running for president at all. But, hey, you never know, right? Maybe he gets out. He gets found to be completely exonerated of all of these charges that are out there. He made a quick couple brief statements yesterday.
I'm going to make a brief statement, but I will not be accepting any questions. For the entirety of my career, I have fought against the powerful people and powerful corporations. I will never stop fighting that good fight.
It's a good fight. It's a good fight. Do you think that you, sir, are going to get through this?
I am highly confident that when all of the evidence is laid bare in connection with these cases, when it is all known, when due process occurs, that I will be fully exonerated and justice will be done.
I don't know. So he had two issues yesterday, right? Two issues. First, he tweeted out that he was going to have a press conference about Nike. He essentially went to Nike and said, hey, you guys have done some dirty in the AAU world, and because of this dirty, you should really think about retaining myself and I believe it was Garagos has been named as an unnamed co-conspirator that we all know now is part of the co-conspiracy side of things. But you should bring us aboard and pay us about $20 to $25 million because this information could really, really hurt you. And our whole thing is to keep you and your brand in the best interest of all of this, with this whole thing flying around with all of these accusations about people that are signing with you and have played under your AAU banner for years, that we could really, really, really protect you. Right? We could really protect you. And then the other side of the country, so that's New York, then we fly over to Los Angeles. He's got issues with taking clients' money to prop up his lifestyle. He's got issues of bank fraud. He's got issues of already losing a lawsuit with his ex-partner. He's got a lot of problems there. So we got two problems, not just one. And yesterday, after tweeting out about Nike, that's when they decided to move. And we'll touch on that in a moment about this underbelly and ugliness of sports, in particular when it comes to AAU athletics, especially when it comes to basketball, and this dirty little secret that everybody knows about. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. It's the Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show, where we reach across the aisle and occasionally poke someone in the eye.
Oh, man. Why you gotta hit me with that kind of news, Phil? First of all, he's only, 56 years old, Rankin Roger?
56.
We grew up rocking out. I was a ska man. It's more mod than ska, but I appreciated the English beat and madness and whatnot. God, 56, though. That's crazy. And I look back at it and I think, it's a perfect one of those things where you start to question again your mortality, because he's 56. I grew up with his music, rocking out to him. And he always thought he was so much older than you. And really, he's like, oh, he was only 8 years older than me. So when I was 14, he was only 22 rocking out. Oh, goodness. Man, I had a friend who passed away last week. Just found out a guy I worked with in radio for quite a long time who was younger than that. And it's just like, wow, it brings in that mortality thing. It's human beings, kids. Human beings. It's there. It's real. And when you start to see people who pass away from something, now granted, a lot of times these people live hard lives, but still, whether it's, Luke Perry or somebody like that in their 50s, you're just like, whoa, that right there is just hits home.
Chick-fil-A no longer welcome at San Antonio's airport after a 6-4 vote by city council. A motion was made Thursday to ban the restaurant from a new concession agreement that will bring a number of food concepts to San Antonio International Airport. District 1 City Council member Robert Trevino said the motion was made to send a message that San Antonio is not open to anti-LGBTQ behavior. A report released Wednesday by Think Progress shows Chick-fil-A donated $1.8 million to groups that discriminate against the gay community.
And it's okay to discriminate against people who are religious, so feel free to do that. That's a good thing. And I like Chick-fil-A. I do. I don't. The person cooking your pizza tonight may have a complete opposite belief in what you do. Don't let it spoil your appetite, right? So they're not going to allow them there. It's this is the world that we find ourselves in now, and it's crazy. It really is. In fact, I was listening today. Mike Lindell was doing something, of course, MyPillow and whatnot, and he was talking because they've got a movie coming out this weekend called Unplanned. And as it sounds, Lindell's a very religious man, and as it sounds, it's about unplanned pregnancy, and it's very interesting to listen to him talk how they couldn't even get it into some theaters who didn't want it because, again, it goes against a certain kind of thing. It's like the beauty of America is we are inclusive, and I may not believe in your religion, right? I may not believe in your belief system, but let the place work itself out in the free market. And who doesn't like Chick-fil-A? Right? Chick-fil-A is yummy. That's the stuff that drives me crazy. But you know what, San Antonio, it's the beauty. Go ahead, do your thing. That's what you want to do. Do your thing. And I'm sure they'll get complaints and people will be pissed and angry. And we're going to eventually have two separate Americas. We're already in a two separate America world. We're already there. And I think it's going to get worse before it gets better. I really do. And I find the group that screams they want inclusivity and they want everybody to be inclusive and this, that, and the other, it only seems to be as long as it's on their terms. If it's on their terms, they're fine with it. If you go against anything that breaches their bubble of inclusivity and all of this stuff, they flip out. especially if you have a different thought process than them. I read an article last week that it's more important for a younger generation, your politics, not how good you are in bed, not what you look like. If your politics don't jive up with the other person's politics, literally 100%, they want nothing to do with you. And some people are like, it's kind of lonely. Well, get used to it. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Hey, money's important. A lot of times we struggle, right? We live paycheck to paycheck, or we just want to make sure we look around and think we should have more. When's the last time you looked at your credit cards and you saw, oh, goodness me, I'm paying how much? Massive fees? Stop doing that. Refinance your credit card balances and save big time. Yeah, credit card consolidation. Get the loan right now from Lightstream. Are you ready for this? Fixed rate as low as 6.14 APR with auto pay. And I'm going to tell you how you can actually get an additional bonus discount coming up. It's incredible. $5,000, $100,000 loans, no fees, and you can get it as early as the same day you apply. Lightstream is a division of SunTrust Bank, one of the nation's largest financial institutions, so you can have a complete peace of mind. The only way to get the discount I'm talking about, though, is go to lightstream.com/Benson. That's LIGHTSTREAM.com/Benson. Lightstream.com/Benson. Get it. They're going to treat you amazingly well. Subject credit approval. Rate includes 0.50 auto pay discount. Terms and conditions apply. Offers subject to change without notice. Visit livestream.com/Benson for more information. At Chad Benson Show, Twitter, ChadBenson. I might get myself a little Chick-fil-A tonight. You don't know. But you're not being inclusive. I am. My taste buds are inclusive. And the inclusivity he wants is chicken. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Prosecutors in Chicago making that surprise deal with Jessie Smollett to drop charges. Blindsiding and angering the city's mayor and top cop.
I've been truthful and consistent on every single level since day one. I would not be my mother's son.
At this point, I don't even care. I was like, Jessie Smollett walked away with some sort of special deal. That's all that you need to know. You wouldn't get it. I wouldn't get it. He got it. It is what it is. Chicago's got issues. I don't know. When you have Rahm Emanuel coming out saying, yeah, this thing was whitewashed. When you got the top cop saying, yeah, we know he did it. Going against their own DA. The prosecutor saying, yeah, we decided, you know what, nah, we're going to let it go. Don't worry, though, because we got some stuff out of it.
In return for him forfeiting his bond to the city of Chicago and doing community service, we agreed to dismiss the charges against him.
Now, he wasn't going to go to jail, right? He wasn't going to go to jail. Nor should he have gone to jail. He faced 48 years. It's ridiculous. He wasn't going to jail. But just the way it came about and the slap in the face to the city of Chicago, to the police force, and how they were just absolutely maligned, and you know, people were questioning whether or not it was just they were in on this and it was a fix, and all of these kind of things. For the way that they did this, that's the part where they said they weren't even notified. They were just told, we're dropping the charges, we're holding a press conference. And you're like, wait, what? Yeah, it's ridiculous. It is ridiculous. And then out there, what's going on? All right, you got what? You got his attorney saying he's the victim here. Well, they're dropping the charges, and you're doing community service, and you're forfeiting your bond, and you didn't run. So what's the deal? Is there a victim? Is there not a victim? I mean, it's just, how is he a victim if he? It's a joke. It's a joke. I don't know what they were afraid of, or better yet, what is behind this. And I have a feeling we're going to find out more and more that there was something there. Maybe she's starstruck. Maybe she's got hey, is there any way you could look at my screenplay? I don't know. Maybe. You know, and Jesse's walking around like big baller.
This has been an incredibly difficult time, honestly one of the worst of my entire life. But I'm a man of faith, and I'm a man that has knowledge of my history, and I would not bring my family, our lives, or the movement through a fire like this. I just wouldn't.
Through the fire, through whatever come what may, for a chance to be. Man, that song? That was an awful song. Oh, God. Through the fire. I wouldn't bring my family through the fire. Just like, he did not look like he was a person who thought, I got away with this. No, he didn't. He looked like, yeah, you know what? This is recognized. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. The battle for Obamacare. Here's something that matters to the American people. This matters. Rising cost of health care is going to be a huge, huge, huge thing. And the Democrats can say all you want about Obamacare, right? You can talk about it. You can defend it. That's what this has been about. Pelosi was on a tear today.
They might spend a little of their time preparing the Mueller report for release. Because they need time, they say. And now they're using their time to deprive people of health insurance.
So that was it. They're using a little bit of time to prepare the Mueller release and a little bit of time to deprive people of health care. And we've got to figure something out with health care because this isn't working, right? Yelling at each other.
All during the campaign, the Republican candidates and the Republican incumbents were saying that they supported the pre-existing condition benefit, despite the fact that they had voted over and over and over again to repeal it.
Yeah. They voted for a lot of things. I don't even know what the hell they were doing. I don't think any of us knew what they were doing. They talked a big game. Talk about a group of people that yap their trap and talked a big game. The Republicans were, we're going to repeal it. Look at our show votes. Okay, you guys are up now. Oh, wait, what? Oh, yeah, it's time to go. Well, now? Oh, but I thought you were working on. You weren't? Who was? Well, who did we say was working on it? Oh, he's not even here anymore. But we've got to do something, right? The one-size-fits-all approach, I will give it to Obama. I don't like what the Democrats did, but at least Obama and the Democrats tried something. As awful as it turned out to be, as expensive it turned out to be, as a sham it turned out to be, they made some sort of bizarre effort. And I said, once they got in it, they're never going to get out of it. Is it a public-private thing? Do we give people the opportunity? You want to do public? Fine. Set up public hospitals. You guys run those public hospitals. You tell people what they're going to come out of their taxes, and you allow other people to stay on their plans. But we can't even trust them for that. Right? And you also can't bitch if people have private insurance and their insurance is better than your public insurance. They're in it. It's a mess. It's a mess. And Republicans, you've done nothing. You have done nothing to sort this house. You've done nothing. You've come up with some half-ass ideas of which, you know, if there's 10 of you talking about this, one of you's undecided, 3 of you are going one direction, 3 of you are going the other direction, and the other 3 are lost. Right? We know what a lot of people want. Most of the people I talk to, it's not that hard. Most of the people that I talk to, they want more transparency and an opportunity to pay cash for certain things. But by and large, they're really looking for the big go, right? Like the big thing. They're looking for hit by bus insurance. They're not looking for, hey, do you need a vasectomy even though you're a 27-year-old woman insurance? They're not looking for that. You played a game. You also allowed the insurance companies to help you craft these magical ideas. So what do? Because we've got to do something. And now with the potential of Obamacare going away, pre-existing conditions, we've got to figure out a way. How do we cover people? Is it the government? We spend enough and waste enough money. Does the government take over when you get to a certain point? Are you willing to do that? Are you willing to allow the government the opportunity, if you have cancer, to take over? If you have heart conditions, are you allowing that? Is that what you want? I mean, there are questions that need to be asked, and they need to be asked in a way that, like, hey, we're looking to get to the bottom of this and find not a perfect solution, because there is no perfect solutions. There's no perfect solutions, but there are going to be solutions that are better than what we have now, that are more manageable for the average person than we have now. But the politics is still too good to get to the point where we really have to come up with that. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. AOC yesterday was tweeting out, Mueller's a Republican, but she did tweet out something, and she asked a question I thought was very valid, is we need to be asking the question, how do we get to the point where so many people wanted Trump? And I think that's a real question to ask that I don't hear too many people asking, right? They hate Trump or they love Trump, but nobody's asking the question and trying to diagnose why we got here. And I've talked about it on more than a few occasions, is this world that we are coming to right now, which is we're not going to a civil war. I hear we're going to go to a civil war. Shit, we're not going to a civil war. But we are having a culture clash in this country. And it's not just the rural areas, right? People think it's just, it's either you live in the cities, right, and it's all metropolitan and everybody spends every day, going to bookstores and museums, which is not true, right? Because it costs a lot of money to live in those cities, and most people are working 12 hours a day to afford to live at those cities. So the last thing they're doing is going to an art gallery. But the reality is we do have a culture clash in here, and you got to figure out why people went to Trump. For some people, a good majority of people, they felt like their voice was taken away, and that the coastal elites were definitely pushing the country in a direction that made them uncomfortable, telling them that their values were old and stale and evil and bad, and he gave them a voice. But there's also a lot of people out there that are frustrated. You got a lot of people who are Republicans in California. You got a lot of people who are Republicans in places where, or libertarians in places like New York and Chicago. And guess what? They feel like their voices aren't heard at all. And this is the clash that you have. This is the huge clash you're having. And you've got to say to yourself, if you're a Democrat, how do I reach those people? Socialism isn't the answer, right? Socialism saying, hey, I got a great idea. Let me tell you how I'll reach those people. We'll shoot for socialism, and we'll go even further left. That's not the answer, right? And people out there, are you willing to hear an answer on both sides of the aisle? And I just don't know if we are. I think we're now, the culture clash has gotten so big that this chasm is so huge that I don't know if we're going to be able to bridge it anytime soon. And are we going to see these weird go far left and then we swing back far right and we're like, oops, made a mistake, and then we go back far left. And, normally what we do is we swing in one direction so far because we feel like we're making up for something. And then when it comes back, we kind of find that middle ground. And I don't think we're doing that. We're not going to make everybody happy. Not everybody's going to be happy with health, taxes, right? But can we make 80% feel like it's a good thing? Like that should be, let's stop trying to make 100% happy. Can you do 70, 80%? You do 70, 80%, you're living the dream if you're a politician. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Full night's rest. It's important. Somebody asked me the other day, what's the thread count on these Giza pillows from My Pillow? I'm like, amazing. Amazing. It's, I literally, you slide into these things. It is so incredible. These new sheets from My Pillow are like, wow. Like, you stay at some uptown hotels and you slide into it and you're like, whoa, that's this and then some. It's incredible. Cotton is grown in a small area, Mediterranean Sea. Little bitty area. Right there. Super smooth, breathable. So it means when it's warm, right, you sleep cool. That's vitally important. Deep corners so they fit on any mattress. And I will tell you right now, made right here in the USA, 100% machine washable, dryable cotton. You will not be disappointed. Get your sheets now. They're called Giza Cotton Sheets. Call MyPillow, 800-983-4975, or go to MyPillow.com. Use that promo code Benson. That's MyPillow.com, promo code Benson, 800-983-4975. Promo code Benson. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Got that sniffling, sneezing, stuffy head thing going on? Time for your daily dose of Vitamin Chad.
I found this to be very interesting. Normally, we do urban word of the day here, but this is funny. We got a new poll out about the, essentially, the slang words America love to use, but Americans hate. Also has, inside of this poll, it's done by one poll, when are you too old to do something, right? 1 in 4 Americans think people who are over the age of 25 are too old to use certain slang terms. And by the time you hit 43, you better not use any of these words because you're just too old. Number 5.
And number 5 is ghost, as in not replying to text messages or emails for whatever reason.
Yeah, ghost. You don't want to be ghosted. You don't want to be ghosted. So ghost or ghosting is you just disappear, right? You don't tell somebody goodbye. You don't do any, you just go. You know, be a good one for that? AWOL. AWOL. Oh, I like that. Throw that out there.
Number 4, Gucci, meaning something that is highly desired or going real well.
Really? I've never heard anybody use Gucci. I've never heard that. Right? But again, I'm 48, so I'm 5 years past that I should never use these words. When we give them to you, it's only to help you connect with your youths of America.
In the number 3 spot, hangry, something we have all experienced, aggressiveness caused by feeling a bit hungry.
Oh, yeah. That's been me on more than a few occasions. It used to be, when I don't eat, I get my blood sugar drops. I get a little, well, try Snickers. Nah, it's not like that. It's you know when people are hangry. You know when people are hangry. This one right here.
And while it may be romantic to some, a lot of us don't want to hear you call your significant other bae.
We'll never call significant other bae unless her name is Bae. I'm like, I can't use that. I'm going to call you Linda. I don't like that. Finally, now this one I just call Tom Brady.
The most annoying slang word out there? Go. Greatest of all time.
Yep. We just call that one Tom Brady. That's it. Simple as that. So if you use any of those words, stop using them because we love to use them, but you're overusing them. I've used ghost before, hangry, never used bae, goat, yeah. Gucci I've never used. Unless I'm like, oh, that's a Gucci purse or something. I've never used that, and I never will. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. So funny. Michael Avenatti he is coming strong for all of this. Like, he's been indicted. He's got all this stuff and this big thing with Nike. He is now, I told Phil, he's at the point where he's going to be like Trump. He's a fighter. He likes to fight. He's going to get into it. And if he's taking the whole ship down with him and he is outing everybody in the Nike camp, exposing them for paying off players who are still in high school and in college and their families. And think about this. If you weren't his client, right, and you may have taken money because you're broke and poor and you're helping your family out, right or wrong, you could debate that all day, but you've had nothing to do with this guy, and he's now coming after you, including DeAndre Ayton, the number 1 pick last year, Bol, who's Manute Bol's son up in Oregon, going after him, and several others. Man, this is going to get ugly. I do like the fact that he exposes a very nasty underbelly of youth sports, and it is an ugly underbelly indeed. And it's weird because it's much more open in Europe, and you don't tend to have any of these kind of problems. But here, it's going to get ugly. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. I'm raising a young man. He's a boy that's going to become a young man who's going to become a young man. And he's navigating a day and age that is tough. Dr. Warren Farrell is going to join us next to talk about the #MeToo world with young men and just men in general. And maybe we're becoming too sensitized after all the things that have happened over the last year. We kind of were going, and moving back to our own ways. He joins us straight ahead. Chad Benson Show.
Chad Benson Show.
independent in thought, and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
It's interesting in this world, in this day and age of what can you say, what can't you say, hashtag Me Too. I'm raising a young boy. Sometimes I wonder what's his life going to look like. He's 8 now. My goodness, I don't know what he's going to look like in a few years, what you can and can't say anymore. Joining us now is a man who understands things like that. He's got an amazing book out called The Boy Crisis. You can get it on paperback on Amazon. Dr. Warren Farrell joins us. And his new, he's got a great article out, which I love. It's in the Washington Examiner. You can check it out for yourself, called hashtag Me Too Movement starts to fade as men desensitized to the issue. Dr. Farrell, thanks so much for joining us today. And desensitized to the issue, how do you explain that?
Well, I think a lot of people are beginning to feel like in the old days in the Soviet Union, people used to say there was one philosophy out there in public, and then people were talking differently at home where they felt safe. And the conversations oftentimes where people aren't worried about political correctness is a lot different. It's sort of like most people have a lifetime of understanding that, let's say, their uncle or their brother had a divorce, and there were children at stake, and the father wanted to be equally involved with the children, and the mother made a false accusation or said something that was really negative so that she could have the children. Most people have complex experiences like that in their life where there aren't all men bad, women good. And when we have a hashtag Me Too movement that is only talking, that's a monologue, not a dialogue. And we all know women who have had bad experiences and they've kept them to themselves. And so we're all happy that our daughters, have a little bit more encouragement to be able to speak up and say what they really feel and how they really hurt. But we also have sons who have broken up in relationships and have had accusations thrown at them that were not accurate, or at least not accurate from our son's point of view. And we realize that any real progress in society has to come from not a hashtag Me Too monologue, but a hashtag Me Too dialogue, where men and women listen to each other. They're not trained only to speak. We're trained to hear each other's stories and see how that other story might be something we can empathize with and support. And so rather than turning the sexes into a battleground, we've always had a battle of the sexes, but recently we've had more of a war in which only one side has shown up. And women have shot the bullets and men have put their heads in the sand and hoped the bullets would miss, making it a very dangerous world for somebody who's an 8-year-old boy who's going to be soon hearing in 7th grade that masculinity is about male privilege, male power, that the future is female, that the accusations of rape are all from women to men, that the mass shooters are all boys, that ISIS recruits are mostly males, that the prisoners are mostly males. It doesn't look like an encouraging environment for him to be sort of saying, gee, I'm a male, I wish I wasn't.
Yeah, no, it's again, I walk that tightrope of somebody who wants to give his son, as much leadership as I can and guide him in a lot of things when it comes to this. But his world is a much different world than what you and I and many others who are listening went through. And how can you do that to somebody when you say, hey, in my day, you got away with that. And today that's now considered ridiculous, doctor, because the fact is we should all be wanting the same thing. When you talked about a war right there, this is something I've talked about for years, where I feel like it's no longer let's all try to get to the same place. We may have a different way we're going to take there, but I think we should want to get the same things. Now it's you're bad, sit back, listen, and you're the villain in this. And that's not a way that I think we're going to have victory.
You're absolutely right. Last year, Oxford University Press chose a word of the year, and the word was toxic. And, of course, when people think of masculinity, the word that they think to describe it is toxic. And so a boy, maybe he's in 7th, 8th, 9th grade, and he begins to feel those feelings of wanting to be with the attractive women in his class, or most of the women in his class. And But he starts thinking to himself, boy, that especially that woman, maybe that cheerleader, is somebody I'm really interested in. There's no way she could be interested in me. I wish I could ask her out. Oh my God, I wish. And then he just fears all this rejection, the possibility he's not good enough, what's wrong with him, and so on. And all that's going through his mind. And so then he finally, but if he ever does ask her out, and she says yes, he's on a date. And if he starts wondering, well, now should I reach over and take her hand? Maybe it's too soon. Maybe it's not soon enough. He knows that if he does it too soon, too quickly, and he moves on too quickly, he's considered a potential predator. But on the other hand, if he asks for permission before each time he takes her hand or kisses her on the cheek or kisses on the lips and so on, after a while she says, what's the matter with you? You're a very sweet guy, and I really appreciate your asking, but I don't find this excites me. It doesn't turn me on. Let's be friends. You and I be friends. But by the way, there's that guy in your class your math class who's the quarterback. Maybe could you introduce me to him? And so, that's the type of mixed messages that boys get. If I move too quickly, I'm a predator. If I don't move quickly enough, I'm a wimp. And that's, and the challenge there, the deeper challenge is, wait a minute, if women are about equality, why aren't they taking equal risks of rejection? Why aren't we as likely to call women predators if they move too quickly and wimps if they don't move quickly enough? It's because we don't ask women to share that responsibility equally, even as women are saying that they're equal. And so the world is very confusing for a boy, and when he starts expressing his feelings about this, he's told that part of toxicity and toxic masculinity is boys repressing their feelings. So then he expresses his feelings, and he's told he's mansplaining. This leaves him, and here he is, your 7th, 8th, 9th grade son. He is by and large the less mature sex. And the less mature sex, is expected to take all these risks of rejection with the more mature sex, and he's beginning to be addicted to the beauty of the more mature sex. And so he's really put in a very challenging position that many boys feel that there's no way out of. There is a way out of it. You can be extremely emotionally intelligent, and you can navigate the minefields, but most 7th, 8th, 9th grade boys are not known for their emotional intelligence.
No, because they're 7th, 8th, 9th grade. We all know what we were like in 7th, 8th, and 9th. This is what I can't wait for. Robots. Once the robots show up, and they have robots that's going to change everything, Dr. Warren Farrell. I'm telling you right now, once the robots show up, men are going to be like, you know what? We don't need you guys. We don't want any of this. There's less risk over here, and I get to hang out with my friends with nobody yelling at me.
Well, that's one of the reasons for boys who become addicted to video games and also to porn is the fear that they can't be successful enough to be acknowledged and recognized by other boys, by parents, by teachers. They often hear their daughter, the daughter being talked about, their sister being talked about more frequently in a positive way than themselves, and they really they feel lost. And so, without that type of support of people around them, they start withdrawing into video games, identifying with a hero that they think that they can master, that doesn't reject them directly, that only gives them additional challenges, or they start worrying about rejection, and they recognize that pornography is access to a variety of attractive women without fear of rejection at a price that they can afford, and so they begin to get involved in that. But then after a while, they finally do attract a woman in real life, and the woman, though, is sensing that all the boy knows about sex is what he learns in pornography, which is not much something that she wants to be a part of, and so she rejects him, which only turns him back to pornography to be able to soothe himself in the midst of that rejection. And so, but there is a solution to this, and there's a solution for both, both parents who are mothers and fathers, and also for single moms. And the single biggest solution, there's lots of solutions, but the single biggest one is postponed gratification. And the single biggest pathway to postponed gratification is something that dads bring to boys' lives and girls' lives especially well. Dads tend to be good at boundary enforcement as opposed to just boundary setting. So, for example, if a mom and when a boy and a girl are, say, 7, 8 years of age, and they're both wanting to have some ice cream, and mom and dad both set the boundaries the same way. They both tend to say something like, sweetie, you can have your ice cream as soon as you finish your peas. And the kids tend to test the boundaries the same way, try to have as few peas as possible before they have their ice cream. And then the difference is in the way dads and moms enforce boundaries. Moms tend to, after the child says, I want to have the ice cream now, and then mom will tend to say, I'll tell you what, you can have these, let's say, 20 more peas. And so then the boy or the girl starts having about 10 or 15 peas and says, okay, I had some peas, Mom. Now can I have the ice cream? And mom is thinking to herself, I don't want to get into a big fight over a few peas. So, okay, yes, you did at least try. Go ahead, you can have your ice cream now. So the boy or girl learns that, with mom, I can manipulate a better deal. With dad is more likely to say something like, the deal was you can have your ice cream when you finish your peas. And so the boy and girl with dad tends to be more likely to focus on doing what he or she needs to do, finish the peas, before they get what they want, have their ice cream. And so boys and girls growing up with dad involvement are only half as likely. 15% of boys and girls growing up primarily with dads have ADHD. 30% growing up primarily with moms have ADHD. And one of the reasons you can get from that example is that with mom, the boys do not learn to have to fix their attention on completing what they need to do. They learn how to manipulate better. And with dad, boys feel that they have no option but to finish their peas, so to speak, before they get their ice cream. And so they focus their attention on doing what they need to do rather than having attention deficit.
Always interesting to talk to. Dr. Warren Farrell is author of the book, The Boy Crisis. You can grab it now. Paperback's out on Amazon. As always, I appreciate you coming on, talk about it. His new article, Washington Examiner, #MeToo movement starts to fade, men desensitized to the issue. Thanks so much for joining us today. It's definitely something we should be talking about because these are the kind of things that many of us out there think about as we move into not only parenting of young teenagers and men, but also navigating our world as we're older men in a #MeToo environment. Thanks so much, Doc.
It's been a pleasure.
Thanks. At Chad Benson Show, Twitter, ChadBenson. I don't even know what to do with my son, but it's going to be interesting as we move forward. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Running with scissors sounds great compared to this.
Say what?
After Toni Anderson got a divorce in the 70s, her ex-husband went to Canada rather than pay the $160 a month in child support that a court ordered him to pay her for their young daughter. Anderson worked as an interior designer in L.A., but now that she's retired, money's tight. Well, not too long ago, she learned there's no statute of limitations on child support, which eventually totaled more than $170,000.
I don't think enough women get this, and I think they're afraid.
So she got a lawyer, then her ex got scared, and they settled on a payment of $150,000.
That's not bad, right? 150 G's? Ladies, you should do this. I was just talking not too long ago to one of my best friends, and her ex is a super douche. And he doesn't pay. And he owes a lot of money. And he's always looking to dodge. And it drives me crazy. It does. It's just, I don't get it. Right? And you know what? Make an effort for your kids. Make an effort. And ladies, if and this goes for guys too, if somebody's broke and you know they're broke as a joke and they're trying and they could give you $50 here, $20 there, you get that, right? When times are good, opportunities there, you should want to participate in your child's life. Not just, hey, I'll take them to the park every 2 weeks for 40 minutes, but really participate. Like, this is something that fires me up. But I know a lot of guys out there, and I know some ladies out there that have done all right, and they have shirked their responsibilities in a lot of ways. I swear, it drives me crazy. Sometimes it drives me so crazy, I may just need a cuddle.
A Montgomery County men's group is looking to heal through the power of cuddling. On its meetup page, the Men's Therapeutic Cuddle Group says its goal is to provide a safe, structured, and platonic environment for men to experience acceptance, affirmation, and affection. Participants must shower before and remain fully clothed. They specify this is strictly platonic, and they're accepting men of all backgrounds, but they say men who are obese or have back or knee injuries may have trouble fully participating. Gilma Avalos for CBS Philly.
All right, Phil, answer me the question. Why can't fat people with bad backs or knees cuddle? Curious.
This is a question that we will ponder for the rest of time.
This is it. So wait a minute. So what you're saying is you want good-looking thin people to cuddle with you, but it's totally platonic. No, I'm not going to cuddle with a stranger. It's not going to happen. Nope, not going to do it. Oh, are you homophobic? No, I'm not cuddling with any stranger. Male, female, non-binary. It's not going to happen. Just not happening. Not cuddling. And when you put restrictions on, well, let's be a little honest here. Fat people are good cuddlers. Why wouldn't you want a fat person then? Why wouldn't you? Well, Chad, now I'm just saying, somebody who's nutritionally overachieved is probably a good cuddler. And what, you hurt your knee? Sorry, we're gonna get all of our anger and energy out through a good cuddle, but you twisted your knee, so you can't be in our cuddle group. No cuddle puddle for you, sir.
Even prosecutors said they, too, believed he lied to police.
You believe that he lied on the police report?
Yes, this was not an exoneration. To say that he was exonerated by us or anyone else is not true.
Chicago police officials say they had no idea this was coming.
They chose to hide behind secrecy and broker a deal to circumvent the judicial system.
It comes after Smollett was indicted on 16 counts for allegedly lying about a hate crime attack.
Yeah, you know what's going to be, so they dropped the charges on Smollett today. He faced 48 years. He was never going to see any jail time, nor should he. But what people are pissed about that I've talked about, it's the attitude that he has had. So they dropped the charges. Everybody says you're guilty. The police, the mayor, some backroom deal was cut. And then you come out and your attitude about how, you were the victim in all this and you've got your attorney speaking out. That's the thing. Somebody wants to see you, you know what? Be a little contrite. Look down and said, you know what? I'm looking to turn the chapter. This was an ugly situation. But no, it's like now it's like, how can you you literally have victimized yourself. The mayor came out today and said, you're using hate crimes to elevate your standing. And it's a lie. It's built on BS. And you got some sort of sweetheart deal. Like I said, don't be surprised if the prosecutor is passing off, hey, check out my screenplay. I think you guys are going to really like it. Right? But not even a little, I got lucky here. I don't know what I was thinking. Nope. Amazing. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. It's just amazing, the attitude of people. Really is. He's a victim. He's not. A victim of who? Himself? Should get a restraining order against you. For you. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
What are they saying to people who have pre-existing conditions? Trust us, we'll take care of you. People in Vermont who have, whether it's cancer, diabetes, or anything else, they say, what happens to us?
The Republicans, because they can't stand the word Obama, are determined to kill the Affordable Care Act, which guarantees to Americans you will not be discriminated against because someone in your family has a pre-existing condition.
This move will destroy health care for millions of Americans.
Yeah, what happens with healthcare? That's a huge issue, right? Like, this is something that we should be talking about. Stuff that matters in this country is the expense of healthcare. And what are we going to do to actually start getting the prices down and manageable? Look, I was not a fan of Obamacare and what they did, the way they passed it. I thought it was sneaky as hell. But now you've got a situation where they're looking and they're saying, hey, we're going to decide with the lower court here and get rid of the mandate. Eventually, we could kill off Obamacare here. The problem is you guys talked a huge game for years and you've never been able to really do anything about it. Now what is the question I ask Republicans? Now what? Because, yes, I'm not a fan of Obamacare. I will say this, right? I will say this. They made an effort. They made an effort. Didn't like what came out of it, but they made an effort. Is it working for everybody? No. Is it perfect? No. And when you talk about crony capitalism, when you have the insurance company helping you craft a lot of this, that's not a big win either. We've got to figure something out. And this is one of those things that is going to be a big, if you care about where we're headed in the future, right? The sensationalism over the last 48 hours with the Mueller report, the Avenatti, and all of this stuff, and where we're going from here. And if you really, really look at this and you say to yourself, all right, what are we going to do? What are we going to do when it comes to things that matter to the person who doesn't watch Fox, MSNBC, and CNN 24/7? What are we going to do? Because not everything inside Obamacare is bad. The implementation has been awful. It has been cumbersome. It has killed choice. There are things in there, a good portion of, that we need to get rid of. But I heard for all those years how they're going to be a repeal and replace, and when push came to shove, they failed. Now what?
The Republican Party will soon be known as the party of healthcare. You watch.
Okay, I want to watch. What are you going to do? What are you going to do that's going to make you the party of healthcare? What are you going to do? Expanding choice? Fantastic. Giving people the options to maybe choose certain things, right? I don't need an 18-wheeler if I drive a mile to work every day and I work with a microphone and I don't carry anything or go anywhere and I don't have a moving company, right? Do you see what I'm saying? Some of this stuff was ridiculous. Everybody's getting it. Hey, I know you're a woman, but you might get a vasectomy. Hey, I know you're a man, but you're going to get pregnancy coverage. Yeah, I get it, right? You're trying to be all things to all people. But what now? Because the cost is ridiculous. When people are paying more for their health care than their mortgage, and you've got people saying, all right, I can cover the kids, but we're not going to cover ourselves, and we're just going to hope and pray. That is not what we want. Is there a happy medium somewhere? I think there is. And I've touted from jump, if you want to have a public option and a private option, I'm okay with that. Give people the option. The people that are stuck in the public option, you're in there, and you might be fine with it. I don't go to the doctors that much. A little bit comes out of here. I go. There's no real need for it, blah, 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 blah. That's great. But you can't bitch if the people in the private have other things than you because they're paying for it. How do we do this? There's got to be a way. I know there's a way. But can these two, the left and the right, get out of each other's way enough? And I mean politically, social media-wise, get out of a way of all of that noise to do something? That I don't know. And let's not forget the trough that continues to get full that both sides feed at it. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Jessie Smollett, 16 counts, felony counts, 48 years in jail he faced. Guess what? All gone. It's been dropped. Every single one has been dropped. They seem to be happy about it, Smollett and the prosecutor, Rahm Emanuel.
It was not just the officer's work. That work, a piece of that work, was shown to a grand jury, And they made a decision based on only a sliver of the evidence.
Only a sliver of the evidence. He is not happy.
This is a whitewash of justice.
Whitewash of justice. Phil and I were like, oh, can he say that? That seems racist. That seems racist. Eddie Johnson, the man who is the head of the police in Chicago, is absolutely pissed off about the way that this thing has gone down.
My job as a police officer is to investigate an incident, gather evidence, gather the facts, and present them to the state's attorney. That's what we did. I stand behind the detective's investigation.
Yeah. He is not happy at all. At all. None of them are happy because they feel like, well, wait a minute here. So this guy, right, he causes this big stink and makes it seem like there's somebody running around with a MAGA hat preying on gay people of color in Chicago because of who he is in the television show. The spotlight's on them, so they pull people and resources off other cases. They even start to say, well, maybe Chicago police are corrupt and all of these kind of things, and they're already battling stuff like that for years. Well, all of this is going on. We start to see this thing unravel on Jessie Smollett. They file these charges. There's a check to two guys that he worked with who said, hey, you know what? He paid us to do these things. It was all a bunch of baloney. Now out of everywhere, boom, this thing's done. Out of nowhere, boom, everything's done. Sorry. Hey, you know what? He's been a good servant. He's done some stuff. He was only going to get community service, said the prosecutor, right? And the DA, hey, he's only going to get community service. There wasn't going to be any jail time. He's going to forfeit his bond. And, really, it's over. It's done with.
This has been an incredibly difficult time. Honestly, one of the worst of my entire life. But I'm a man of faith, and I'm a man that has knowledge of my history, and I would not bring my family, our lives, or the movement through a fire like this. I just wouldn't.
My God. The insanity of this. And he's still saying he's the victim. Rahm Emanuel saying he's using hate and the laws to hide behind the fact that he wanted to further his career. And like that, gone away. I didn't realize he faced that much. I never thought he was going to get time, right? I never thought he was going to get any time, nor should he have gotten time. I think he should have been forced to do community service and do some PSAs and be out there in the public and stuff like that, and using the moniker of fame that he had to do some stuff. I never thought any of that. I don't think, at some point in time, come on, it's ridiculous. But the reality is to, as Ron Emanuel said, whitewash this. That is not good, and there's going to be questions asked. There's going to be a ton of questions asked of really what it's a lot of, and you're just letting them walk away. And this is it. Nothing, not a dang thing. Period. Case closed. End of story.
There is no deferred prosecution. The motion was to nolli pros, which is a legal technical term for dismiss the charges.
Yeah, and charges are dismissed. Very interesting. Very. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Love hearing from all of you guys out there. Just a crazy few days with all that stuff. And then, of course, you've got the one, the only Avenatti, who I do not think is going to be running for president at all. But, hey, you never know, right? Maybe he gets out. He gets found to be completely exonerated of all of these charges that are out there. He made a quick couple brief statements yesterday.
I'm going to make a brief statement, but I will not be accepting any questions. For the entirety of my career, I have fought against the powerful people and powerful corporations. I will never stop fighting that good fight.
It's a good fight. It's a good fight. Do you think that you, sir, are going to get through this?
I am highly confident that when all of the evidence is laid bare in connection with these cases, when it is all known, when due process occurs, that I will be fully exonerated and justice will be done.
I don't know. So he had two issues yesterday, right? Two issues. First, he tweeted out that he was going to have a press conference about Nike. He essentially went to Nike and said, hey, you guys have done some dirty. in the AAU world, and because of this dirty, you should really think about retaining myself and I believe it was Garagos has been named as an unnamed co-conspirator that we all know now as part of the co-conspiracy side of things. But you should bring us aboard and pay us about $20 to $25 million because this information could really, really hurt you. And our whole thing is to keep you and your brand in the best interest of all of this, with this whole thing flying around with all of these accusations about people that are signing with you and have played under your AAU banner for years, that we could really, really, really protect you, right? We could really protect you. And then the other side of the country, so that's New York, then we fly over to Los Angeles. He's got issues with taking clients' money to prop up his lifestyle. He's got issues of bank fraud. He's got issues of already losing a lawsuit with his ex-partner. He's got a lot of problems there. So we got two problems, not just one. And yesterday, after tweeting out about Nike, that's when they decided to move. And we'll touch on that in a moment, about this underbelly and ugliness of sports, in particular when it comes to AAU athletics, especially when it comes to basketball, and this dirty little secret that everybody knows about. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. I was telling producer Phil, so when Pretty Litter came to us, and they said, hey, you need to try this Pretty Litter stuff. You got cats? I said, yeah, I've got two cats. I got Kitty Cupcake, and I have three, the cat with 3 legs. And I said, the one thing for all of my giant lizards, and I have big lizards, 5-6 foot lizards, right? They weigh 60, 70 pounds. They eat meat. You never smell them, right? I clean their cages. You never smell them. But I said, the cat litter, you smell all the time. And Pretty Litter's like, try this stuff. It's like it's so advanced. They call it Litter 2.0. I call it E-Litter now. And I said, all right. So they send me these like bags, these tiny bags. I said, oh, they last you a month. I said, no, they don't. There's no way. Yeah, a month. You don't smell anything, like at all. You're like, do we even have cats? Like, are cats out? What? Yeah, we do. You don't smell anything. And on top of that, this is what's great, right? It's not gross to clean up or any of that stuff, but also it monitors your cat's health, because if it changes colors, it could point out an underlying medical problem with the cat, which you can then go get checked out, which will save you stress and potentially money and maybe even the cat's life. Pretty Litter is amazing. Do what I did. Make the switch to Pretty Litter today. They're going to give you 20% off your first order. Go to prettylitter.com. Use the promo code CHAD. That's prettylitter.com. Promo code CHAD. Save yourself 20% and save your nose and, quite frankly, the grossness of cleaning it up by getting yourself Pretty Litter. Prettylitter.com. Code CHAD saves you 20%. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Warning, no snowflake zone. Uninformed opinions are in danger of melting. The Chad Benson Show.
It's Mr. Smollett who committed this hoax, period.
How weird is that? How uncomfortable is that in Chicago right now? Right? So you've got the mayor who is not happy, Ron Emanuel. So you got him, he's not happy, right? You got Kim Foxx, the Chicago prosecutor, dropped the charges on Jessie Smollett. You've got Chief Williams right there who's saying it's a hoax and that he should be punished and that everything happened behind closed doors. It's just, wow, how uncomfortable is that meeting? Because the person that you're going to be bringing and presenting evidence to, if you're the police, is the prosecutor, Kim Foxx, who is then now, after you've been demonized for weeks and months over Jessie Smollett, you're now watching him just, say, hey, I was the victim and I told everybody I was the victim. And now we got to go out and find the real perpetrators of this. And it might be those 2 Nigerian guys who've said, this guy paid us to do it. Oh, goodness me. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. People are texting in as we're talking about healthcare and things that matter to the average person. And when you look at polls in 2020, right, and they're already out there because, you know what, as a pollster and a person who is running campaigns, this is where it starts, because you've got to navigate through all of these crazy issues, and you've got to navigate through all of these other people that you're going up against to try to get your person over the finish line before you even start the next race against the president. Guess what doesn't matter? Russia. Guess what does matter? My paycheck. Right? Guess what does matter? The high cost of things. Because that eats into my paycheck. You can't buy happiness, but you can lease it. People still are checkbook voters. Because even though other issues matter, you can do a lot more with those issues if you have peace. And peace comes from the fact that you're not worried about your job going away. You're not worried about losing your job. You're not worried about finding your job. You're not worried about asking for a raise because you know you can go across the street. And you're not worried about health care and other things eating away your paycheck and living paycheck to paycheck. Those things matter to the American public. And I think the Democrats going forward have to figure out a way to address this, because if things stay the way they are now, Trump is going to walk across the finish line, no problem. Strong economy, and he got through all this other craziness, yeah, he'll walk across the finish line. If there's a dip in the economy, you got a chance. It's going to be interesting to see the way that they handle this. And are they listening to the American people? The media isn't, because they're all about the entertainment factor, clicks, likes, craziness. What's the average person think? Michael Avenatti is in some trouble, but he did expose something that needs to be exposed even more. We'll touch on that straight ahead. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Effective at the stroke of midnight tonight, March 27th, anyone who is under 18 years of age and is unvaccinated against the measles will be barred from public places until the declaration expires in 30 days or until they receive at least their first shot of MMR.
Wow. That right there is Ed Day. He is an executive for Rockland County in New York, and essentially, you're under the age of 18, you're not vaccinated, you cannot be in a public place because of a measles outbreak. 153 cases since October, and this is an area that has a very large Jewish population, Orthodox Jews, and it has been an issue there. So what they're saying now is, no way, shape, or form, if you were unvaccinated, are you going to be anywhere if you're under the age of 18?
Rockland will lead the way in service and safety to the people here.
We'll see. That's very interesting. Because we have this, there's always a debate. The minute I talk about, it's anti-vaxxers or vaccination resistant or whatever you want, maybe you're pro-disease, whatever it is that you want to be called that makes yourself feel better. Again, this is one of those things where I'm not here to say, go out and get your kid vaccinated or believe in settled science. I'm not there. I'm just saying when your liberty and freedom impedes on other people's liberty and freedoms, there's the issue I have, right? That's the issue I have there. But the minute you talk about this, you get so many people, and I will get at least 5 or 6 people who will send me all kinds of articles today. Some of them from just insane websites. Some of them they'll throw like numbers at you, but they're from 2011, and then you put numbers back to them, and then they disappear and they go search somewhere else. And it's look, your belief is your belief. Again, when it starts to impede on other people's freedoms and beliefs, there's the issue I have. There is the issue I have. Not whether or not you should or shouldn't have your kid vaccinated. If you don't want to have your kid vaccinated, don't have your kid vaccinated. That's on you. If parents don't want to invite you over, if the school says no, that's on them, right? That's on them. And when you have people out there, like I said, I was at SeaWorld a couple weeks ago, and I saw several people that were out there who they had a mask on, they were bald, they were obviously going through something medically, the exposure to that many people, and what happens? They've got a compromised immune system. Well, what are you saying? That they shouldn't be there and that you should? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Michael Avenatti could be the president of his prison. You don't know. He has been indicted. He was released yesterday on $300,000 bond. He spoke quickly afterwards.
I am highly confident that when all of the evidence is laid bare in connection with these cases, when it is all known, when due process occurs, that I will be fully exonerated and justice will be done.
Now, one thing that he was indicted on had to do with his coffee business failings and taking his clients' money and using it for his lifestyle, whatever that means. The other thing that he was indicted for was trying to extort money from Nike. Ugly as it is, right? And the way he went about doing it, saying essentially, I've got all these connections. Look at me. I can call any one of these people. They put me on TV on numerous occasions. And all I have to say is I'm calling a presser about something, and people are going to show up because God knows why. You know, I mean, I don't really have anything big to say, but because of my disdain for Trump, they've listened to me on several things, and this would be one of them. And Nike, what it looks like, he went to Nike and said, hey, AAU, if you guys don't know what AAU is, nobody fines, right? It's Amateur Athletic Union, but nobody fines the great NBA players and college players at high schools, right? Right? Hoosiers is done. That's not happening anymore. You play AAU basketball. High school basketball is a nuisance. It is. It's a nuisance. Soccer's the same way. You're getting picked to play soccer. If you're not paying for it for your kid to play soccer at a college, you're paying big money to get on great clubs, and that's where the players are being found. They're not being found at your high school. They're not. Playing at your high school is a waste of time. Most great players don't even do it anymore. Same thing with AAU. AAU is where it's at, but there's an ugly, ugly underbelly that he was using to basically bribe them. And that underbelly is you've got poor inner city kids whose family have virtually nothing in many cases, but they do have a lottery ticket in their son. They play on these AAU teams, these club teams. Their coaches are making, in many cases, huge amounts of money. And they steer these kids to certain colleges. So you maybe want to go to college A, but the reality is you've been with Nike or Adidas, and your choices are these four colleges that were also on your list because they're Nike and or Adidas, right? Depending on who you're with, Under Armour, whatever it is. And over the last several months, you've seen big cases at colleges. You've seen some big, big names go down for other issues when it comes to recruiting. But the ugly little thing is these parents get some money, right? Mom and dad get to move somewhere where there's virtually no economy, but they have a great basketball team, and they live in a 3-bedroom, 2-bath condo, and you wonder how that happens. Yeah, that's how it happens. Money finds a way. And he was going to expose that because he had a client. But there is an ugliness about this, and it's sad. And this goes back to this whole battle over, should kids get paid, this, that, and the other. That battle's going to go on forever. But let's not pretend ourselves, right? Very few of these kids, these big kids, we're talking about massive, top 50 recruits, top 100 recruits who are playing in these major circuits where you're going to go watch a weekend game in Las Vegas for the AAU teams, right? Let me tell you how expensive it is to travel. My little brother finished playing AAA hockey for the Junior Ducks 2 years ago. He's now in the major juniors and deciding, is he going to go pro or is he going to go, he got a bunch of D1 offers. Let me tell you how expensive. It cost my mom the last year $60,000. $70,000 upwards for him to play hockey because of all the traveling? Do you think an inner city kid has that? Because they travel just as much every weekend. They're in a different city playing each other in big tournaments, staying at nice hotels. And everybody's there. Mom, dad, brother, sister. It's tough. It's expensive as hell. We know where it comes from. He was going to expose that, but rather than do that, he went to Nike and said, hey, I got a great idea. Why don't you pay me and retain my services for $20+ million, and in return, we'll guard your secret, and I'll make sure that none of this stuff gets out. And then Nike called BS on it. But the ugly thing is, it's real. And it's silly. Nike wants to pay these kids, parents, travel around with them. At some point in time, there's bigger fish to fry. And if you have an opportunity and your kid has an opportunity to get your ass out of poverty, put you in a better position, zero problems with that. Zero. But it ruins amateur athletics. Amateur athletics have been damaged and ruined for a long, long, long time. Let it go. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Oh, my goodness. Have you seen? This was hilarious. Carl Bernstein, who is not famous for being one of the Bernstein Bears, the biggest egg on the face I've said over the last 48 hours has been the media. The media is the one that Trump is going to turn his attention to in the coming weeks and really hammer. Rightly so, in many ways. I mean, they ran around, screaming all of this stuff and hair on fire and Manchurian Candidate and all of this stuff. They've looked in the mirror and they thought, I like what I see. I like what I see. And they're defending themselves, which I just find to be bizarre.
The big question is, what is news? This investigation and the conduct and behavior of this president is the biggest story we have had in many years, because his behavior and conduct is anomalous. It's different than any other president in our history. He says and does things, including the lying, that no other president has done.
Right? And they were asked, he's defending here, and he's talking about, okay, so, yeah, is the president, well, how big is it? According to you guys, it is. The average person really doesn't care. Do I like the fact that he lies and he says stuff? And some of it is just the most ridiculous stuff. It's the whole, I caught a fish. Great. What'd you catch? Well, he caught a bass. Oh, no, I caught a great white shark. Well, you did catch a fish. You don't have to say it was a great white shark. But they continues to defend all of this stuff.
There has been such fabulous reporting by especially the New York Times, the Washington Post, the Wall Street Journal. In cable, there has been some great reporting.
Not even close. Not even close. You guys perpetuated this BS. You got with the likes of Clapper. You gave airtime to people you didn't vet many of your sources in a way that you should have. It bit you in the ass, and you stand by it as if, oh, yeah, we've done this fabulous, fabulous, fabulous job. You haven't. You've done a horrible job. You have done an awful job at times, just an embarrassing job at the way that you claimed it was journalism, and it was anything but journalism. It was opinion wrapped up as journalism, but we know exactly what it was. And they're defending themselves. And CNN is, we know what we're getting from MSNBC. We know what we're getting from Fox. But you know what? CNN tried to play themselves as if we're just straight journalists. Right? This is it.
In terms of, things you have said on television subsequently, just over, I don't know, however long you've been talking on television, do you regret anything you have said in terms of raising questions about the president's behavior or some of the things the president has done or said?
No, I don't. And I have put that in writing in my book as well. I have concerns, and as do others, and I have tried to be factual and temperate and moderate about it, but I do have concerns, and no, I don't have any regrets.
That's James Clapper right there. No regrets. No regrets. He's a former director of national intelligence. Well, maybe some of my stuff, my info was a little bit off, but I don't really have any regrets, and I'd do it again. Oh, good God. There's where the embarrassment is. What the Democrats do from here on out could bite them in the ass. But the reality is, over the last 2 years, this became must-see TV for cable viewers. So they fed them everything they wanted. But along the way, they tried to pass so much off as journalism when it was more or less hair on fire, sky is falling, when none of those things were really happening. And we didn't really know, but we're not going to get called out for it. And nobody's really going to lose their job unless it's something so egregious that we have to say we have to get rid of you. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. We all make mistakes, right? We all get in sometimes a little bit over our head, and we do something, we say something, we look, man, that was horrible. It's my bad. 2 years, though, you perpetuated so much of this, and it falls down at your feet as a nothing. And you're just sitting right back there saying, that was great work I did there. It was just, good God, I should get a Pulitzer. For fiction. A decade ago, AMAC was founded as the alternative to the left-leaning Goliath that is ARP. Much like ARP, AMAC is cheap, super cheap, less than $20 a year, but with those benefits, you will make it up 10 times over. Yeah, big time. When you choose AMAC, they're out there politically advocating on your behalf, like common sense immigration reform, getting rid of and replacing Obamacare with something much better. And guess what, guys? They're more than just a political advocacy organization. Oh, yes. Competitively priced insurance. You'll have a chance at that right there. Look across there. What do you see? Travel, retail, restaurant, hotel discounts, plenty of them, roadside assistance, and so much more. And right now, don't even worry about the price. I got you. A year free membership right now. Go to amac.us/Chad. You're going to receive your first year for free. That's amac.us/Chad. They don't even want your credit cards. There's no tricks, no costs, none of that stuff. Just the time it takes to sign up, and you get a free one-year membership. Call 888-355-1668. That's 888-355-1668. Or online at AMC. So amac.us/Chad. That's amac.us/Chad. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Plea deal this.
Mueller, arrest me.
Chad will trade you 2 perjury charges for 1 collusion and throw in a reduced charge of obstruction for free.
Yeah, I'd do that.
For just listening to The Chad Benson Show.
Congress needed a 2/3 majority to override President Trump's veto, but despite some Republican agreement, the measure failed to garner enough bipartisan support to effectively end the emergency declaration that would provide funding for a border wall. The measure had initially passed the House and the Senate, with members of Congress sending a message that power of the purse constitutionally belonged with the legislative branch. But failing to override the veto means that Mr. Trump will be allowed to proceed with bypassing Congress to use taxpayer funds to build the wall.
Yeah, he says he's got $1 million. We'll see how that goes. He's got $1 billion right now. It's like, it's supposed to be extra. Like, we didn't know. We looked over here. We're like, what's in that box? Like, oh my God, it's $1 billion. We should build 57 miles of wall, some in Yuma and some in El Paso. Everything is going to end up at the Supreme Court. Let's just be real. It's all going to the Supreme Court. Everything forever is going to the Supreme Court, because that's how we now. We don't have 3 co-equal branches. We have 2 kind of branches and 1 branch. Right? They're like the oracles. Right? That's what they're kind of like. They're the oracles, and you have to go up to them and ask them. Oracles. What do you see, oracles, in this? And they come out, Ruth Bader Ginsburg and John Roberts, and they have the bones and the dice, and they roll them. What do we see? We see that President Trump was right. We see that he was wrong. It's kind of what I feel like we have now. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. A lot of you are texting in about Smollett and the fact that they dropped all the charges today. And you've got a real rift between Kim Fox, who was the prosecutor. The DA said, nah, we're not going to, go after these 16 felony charges. And then you've got, I don't know, the likes of the police chief.
It's Mr. Smollett who committed this hoax, period.
You also had, and this right here is crazy. This is Rahm Emanuel getting all racial.
This is a whitewash of justice.
Oh, no, of justice. My bad. So Smollett faced 48 years, won't do 48 minutes. How about those apples, kids? I would just like to know, off the record, what were you thinking? Just between us. What were you thinking? I won't tell anybody. Totally, your secret's safe with me, like the secrets in Congress. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. All right, kids, your useless fact of the day. You ready for it? Donkeys' eyes are placed in such a way that they can see all 4 of their feet. Think about that. Yeah, at once. Crazy. Have a good rest of your day. Night, Jack.
This is the Chad Benson Show.